Welcome back to another FaceTime. We are here with Tom Maloney. He is the director of the Barbara L. and Norman Tanner Center for Nonviolent Human Rights Advocacy, and he's also the chair of the economics department here at the University of Utah. And a very special event coming up that I know that the center is deeply involved in, and that's something called Pathways to Peace. And more importantly, we're bringing Tariq Ramadan to speak at the Salt Lake City Library on March 20th. Tell us a little bit about the event.
Well, as you know, the Tanner Human Rights Center puts on a series of programs every year around human rights and peace and conflict issues. And this year, just in sort of discussion with some of the groups we've collaborated with on these programs, we came to see that there are sort of important changes taking place in long-standing challenges in the areas of violent conflict, international policy. And we wanted to take a moment maybe to examine some of these changes, reflect on these changes, and think in terms of creative solutions, creative new pathways that might be followed at this point in time. And so we begin, as you mentioned, with Tariq Ramadan, who's going to be speaking about Middle East conflict and the Middle East in the light of the Arab Spring. So there have been tremendous political changes in that part of the world, of course, over the last couple of years. How might that reframe the nature of the broader Middle East question? So he'll be speaking to that issue at the Salt Lake Main Library on Wednesday, March 20th.
Of course, that begs the question to Pathways to Peace. There's many pathways, obviously, and we're going to be talking about more. Tell us a bit more about the event.
So we're going to have events every week for 4 weeks, beginning with the March 20th talk. So Tariq Ramadan will speak at the library, and then the following week we're going to have anthropologist David Vine from American University, who has studied U.S. military basing policy. And so in this case, the change, the evolution is the fact that the U.S. is moving away from these massive, large-scale Cold War era military bases in Europe to a policy built around many, many small bases in Asia and Africa and Latin America that are built around new kinds of military technology, for instance, the use of drones, for instance. So, so we want to look at that change in U.S. military basing policy, U.S. international policy, and think about the implications of that, for instance, for the countries where these things are housed. So David Vine will speak here at the Hinckley Institute of Politics, and joining him will be Ken Jameson, who's an economics professor here, who's worked extensively in Ecuador. And Ecuador is one of these cases where the host country has decided not to continue hosting a U.S. base for a variety of reasons. So they're going to talk both about this change in basing policy as well as local reaction to that. And then Phyllis Bennis, who's the director of the New Internationalism Project at the Institute for Policy Studies, is going to pick up on a lot of the themes that David Vine has raised. So technological change in the U.S. military, especially drone policy, and the implications of those things. And then kind of moving from sort of the problem to the solution to a degree, in our final week we'll have Jamila Rakib, who is executive director of the Albert Einstein Institution, and she has worked very closely with Gene Sharp, who's sort of an iconic figure in sort of nonviolent political activism. And so she'll be talking about strategies for thinking about alternative approaches to these problems, and then for the broader public to make those desires known to policymakers. So
not only is the event a look at the past and some of these pathways, but obviously how it's going to propel us into new ways of looking at it in the future. And I know that the Tanner Center is taking a lead in the event, but it's really a collaboration with a lot of different groups in the community.
It is very much collaboration. I'm not even sure I'd say we're taking the lead. I mean, it's been a very organic kind of process. We've been engaged with people at Westminster College, the Gandhi Alliance for Peace. Salt Lake Community College is going to host a piece of this. The Middle East Center here, Peace and Conflict Studies, Religious Studies here at the University of Utah, and a number of sort of local grassroots kinds of groups, the Wasatch Coalition for Peace and Justice, Utahns for a Just Peace in the Holy Land, Peaceful Uprising. These folks have been helping to organize these things and helping to publicize the events as well.
All right, thanks, Tom. Tom Maloney, he is the director of the Barbara L. and Norman Tanner Center for Nonviolent Human Rights Advocacy. He's also the chair of the economics department here at the University of Utah. Again, it's the Pathways to Peace. For more information, go to the website you see right there. March 20th, Tariq Ramadan will be down at the Salt Lake City Library, downtown Salt Lake City.